everybody, welcome to A Case of the Jills. I am in a different room today and I'm not really sure why, but I just wanted to get closer to you. This week, we're talking all about change. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I posted a little something about making changes this week and how it's not a very uncommon thought for us to want things to be different, but not actually want to change. If you're watching this channel, it is most likely because you either have hypothalamic amenorrhea, you're training too much, you're not fueling your body properly, and you're watching because you know something is wrong. You know you need to make a change. So the purpose of this video today is to give you some practical tips to help you know what to expect in the process of making change and to let you know, of course, you're not alone. So the changes that we're gonna talk about today, there's two kinds of major changes. There are the ones that are inevitable. Those are the ones that are just happening on a biological level all the time. Our bodies are changing whether or not we want them to every single second of every single day. You're watching this video right now and your body's making changes. Some of those things have to do with your body shape and your body size, and some of those things just have to do with aging. Go back and look at my videos from a few years ago and take a look at me now, and I think it's pretty clear to see. Aging is a thing that happens. It's inevitable. Then there are the changes that we have to actively choose. We usually get there because we realize that something that we're doing is wrong. It's not helping us, it's not serving us, it could be making us sick, it could be detrimental to our health, physical or mental. And so we decide, we actively choose, or we know we need to make a change. If you're watching this channel, it can be something like you are not getting a period. Maybe your legs are killing you because you're training too much and your performance is going down. Just because you want to make a change doesn't mean you know exactly how to do it, and it doesn't mean you have all the information to do it properly. So acknowledging that is the first step. Now let's see what happens next. I don't know how many times I can say it on this video, but I want to make sure, again, I say it, this is not easy stuff. We're going to talk about stages of making change, and this is actually something that was studied by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And you know what else she studies? Grief. So basically what we're saying is making changes is very similar to going through a grieving process sometimes. We have to acknowledge that up front and realize that this is not going to be the easiest journey in the world, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. So in the first stage of change, magical unicorns come down and bless you with magic dust. Nope. It's shock and denial. That's usually how you get to this channel. Fear is the most distinguishing part of this stage of change. You have a lack of information, you have a fear of the unknown, you have a fear of appearing incompetent. And in our culture, that fear of incompetence actually means you're afraid to either have a different body, show that you have different priorities, or even present yourself in a different way to the world. I can remember myself in my first stage of change, of shock and denial, when I finally realized that I couldn't tell myself that pity party story about how maybe I was just infertile anymore and realized that it was actually on me to make those changes. Yeah, that was my shock and denial. We get comfortable telling ourselves stories about how we got here. Denying those stories means that we're ready to accept something new. And yes, that does feel pretty scary. Oh, hello. Well, they haven't seen you in a long time. You want to say hi? Hi, hello. Stage 2 is anger and depression. In this stage, usually what happens is you actually start training more, and then you feel worse, and then you can't train because you're in so much pain and your body's exhausted. So then you feel even worse on top of that. Some of the emotions that are associated with this stage are things like suspicion and skepticism. And you get really frustrated. You start to look for scapegoats. That's usually where you look at me. What does she know? She can't possibly be right. She's not even cute. She's old. But I'm different. This doesn't apply to me. Or why me? Why is this happening to me? Look, you can use me as a scapegoat. And you're right, I am old. But you know what? That doesn't change the fact that the information I'm giving you and the information that's available on hypothalamic amenorrhea and overtraining syndrome is real. When people get suspicious and skeptical and frustrated, it causes a roadblock. This usually turns into apathy and isolation. So that means the person usually turns inward and doesn't want to interact with other people, and certainly doesn't want to see any of the information they need to see. You know, that information that would help them get through this? Yeah, they're not interested in that. I want to read to you something that characterizes this stage. At this point, performance is lowest. Tendency is to fixate on small issues or problems to the detriment of daily tasks. Individuals may continue to perform habits in the same way as before, even if this is no longer appropriate behavior. Sound familiar? It did to me. This was actually most of 2015 for me. I like to call this the lone wolf stage. This was the time where I would prefer to go run by myself than go run with other people. I really liked the idea of being inside my own head and like the world's against me, the world doesn't understand me. I just need me and my trails and my shoes. I'm just kind of making fun of myself right now, but it's because I've gotten through it and I realized what it really was. But at the time, it felt very, very important for me to kind of like shield myself from this onslaught of truth. Doesn't that sound wacky? but I did, and maybe you're doing that too. We need to understand how to transition out of this and get into stage 3. Stage 3 is acceptance and integration. So first of all, to transition out of that, you have to feel that you're not alone. Welcome! You have a place here. Number 2, you have to be ready to hear new information. I think I've said a lot. Go check all my videos. And number 3, you need to shift to be able to focus on the future. Remember that sometimes one of the hardest things about making changes is that we can only see today. We refuse to look forward and see how life could be because we're too afraid that we don't know what that looks like yet. When you shift into this stage of acceptance and integration, it's characterized by these emotions: hope and trust. And by the way, that doesn't mean you have to trust me. It means you learn to trust yourself. What's important to know is that even if you move into this 3rd stage of change and you're starting to have more personal buy-in to the choices that you've made, it doesn't mean that it's going to be fast. Let me read something to you that characterizes this stage of change. Energy and productivity remain low, but there are signs of recovery. People will have lots of questions. That's what I'm here for. Humor is used when referring to behavior earlier in the process. You just saw me do that 2 minutes ago, and you're gonna be there too. Listen, a lot of us have a lot of changes to make right now. Personal, professional, physical, mental, societal. My point here today is to let you know that while this is not easy, it can be done. Do not let fear sabotage your values for yourself, especially if they're about things like a fear of weight gain. I see so many people comment on my posts on Instagram telling me how their major fear is weight gain. Guys, I don't know if you've watched some of my older videos, but I can tell you this over and over and over again. Gaining weight was the best thing that ever happened to me. And the only way I got to know that was when I actually gained the weight. I became a stronger person, I became a better person. My body and my mind responded and came back and flourished in a way that I never thought was possible. So kids, it's important to know that change is inevitable. Ask Auntie Jill. She's happy to remind you of this anytime. I want to be a model for you of how, even though changes happen, they can be really wonderful. I don't regret one thing about any of the decisions I made to recover from hypothalamic amenorrhea back in the day. I don't regret any decisions I made about changing my training and changing involvement in my sport to eventually have better physical health. I don't regret the fact that I have crow's feet. Thank you, gravity. Thank you, age. I want you to see a person like me thriving in my life post-recovery and embracing all the new things that come. My life is better now than it ever was when I was running 80 miles a week. My life is better now that I know how to feed my body instead of not giving it what it needs to survive. I want you to trust that this process is worth it. I want you to know that you're not alone. I want to also be there for you if you need information. If you'd like to schedule a mentoring call with me, you can do so on acaseofthejills.com. Please follow me on Instagram, like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below if you'd like. Hope this video was helpful for you today. I wish you peace and health wherever you are, and I will see you again soon.